Welcome to our third class. Let's do a quick review. What drives climate change? Greenhouse gases are the main driver. One of the most prominent greenhouse gases is carbon dioxide, and most of it was emitted from burning fossil fuels. Factories, power plants, and most of the vehicles we rely on every single day burn fossil fuels. What causes the greenhouse gas effect? Greenhouse gases prevent the heat from escaping back into the universe. Earth is like wearing a big jacket, so it's getting warmer and warmer. Clouds, forests, and ice albedo. That is, when the ice melts, the dark ocean surface will be exposed, which absorbs more heat. All these factors impact the speed of climate change. What is tipping point? Can climate change be reversed slowly after a tipping point? Well, no. Tipping point is where there is no turning back. If the ice in the North Pole and South Pole melts too much, the rest of the ice would start to collapse too. We can't really piece them back together. So we need to try our best to keep our temperature below such tipping point. In this class, we will explore how we, as humans, play a part in climate change. These are four main ways. First, transportation. Transportation contributes to 29% of greenhouse gas emission. As we mentioned earlier, we produce CO2 from cars, airplanes, trains, and vehicles that burn fossil fuels. Electricity production ranked the second. Our modern life almost depends on electricity, from lamps, phones, TV, computers, heaters to refrigerator. Everything we use needs electricity. But approximately 62% of our electricity comes from power plants that burn fossil fuel. Industry. Many industries emit aerosols, which is another driver of climate change. The production of glass, for example, needs a lot of energy to heat sands to an extremely high temperature to compress it into the glass we use every day. The process not only requires a lot of energy from burning fossil fuels, but also it emits aerosols, releasing tiny metallic particles into the air due to this nasty chemical reactions. Residential and waste management. In many households, burning fossil fuel such as natural gas and coal for heat emits CO2. After we throw away our trash, waste was usually burned, releasing more CO2 into the atmosphere. Burning plastic waste is really a serious issue of CO2 emission. Let's tie all these concepts into the production of soda. Don't worry, the CO2 in your bubbling drink is not a source of CO2 pollution. The problem is the process. To create a good-looking soda, we also need glass bottles, plastic bottles, and aluminum cans. The production of these materials requires a lot of energy from burning fossil fuels, which leads to CO2 emission again. At the factories, machines that fill plastic bottles with your favorite soda rely on fossil fuel to keep them working. Another CO2 emission source. After creating all these tasty sodas, the company also need to pack them and transport them to retail stores and vending machines. This transportation process requires more CO2 production. So now we finally buy it from vending machine. Can't wait to drink all these bubbly, icy, sweet soda. However, when we throw away our empty bottles, these plastic are transported to landfills, where all the trash gets either buried or burned. if plastic will burn large quantities of CO2 and methane, which is another prominent greenhouse gas, would be released into the atmosphere. Actually, burning plastic waste emitted 5.9 million tons of CO2 in 2015 alone. Transportation, electricity production, industry, residential, and waste management are all important sources of greenhouse gas emission. Hold on, does that mean we shouldn't drink soda anymore? Not necessarily. You can make the choice. For me, I still drink soda. Soda is one of my biggest source of happiness. But instead of plastic bottles, I prefer glass bottles because most of them are recycled and involves less CO2 emissions. Environmental awareness is important, but it's also a fact that we live in a society heavily dependent on short-term benefits and consumer culture. Fossil fuels are cheap, plastic bags are resilient and convenient. Soda that involves harmful CO2 emissions are so tasty and enjoyable that it has become part of our current lifestyle. Society and its culture shaped our preference, but we don't need to give up all of our current lifestyle to achieve a greener future. We can accommodate, we can choose the alternatives, and make wiser choices based on our knowledge. Discover what you can do in our next class.